Welcome to Half Moon Cay. This is Holland America Line's private destination in the Bahamas. Now, probably the most important thing to tell you about Half Moon Cay is that it is a tender port. So your ship will not come alongside a pier. Instead, we'll use smaller boats called tenders that will take guests from the ship to the island and then of course bring you back as well. Now in Half Moon Cay they use what they call shoreside tenders, so there are boats that were built for this operation and stay here on the island. So they're pretty big boats. They have a fleet of about 4 of them, and they hold between 150 and 400 people on those boats. So they can move people over to the shore quite quickly. Here's a pro tip for those tenders. If you get one of those big tenders, one of those 400 seat tenders, that's one that has a big ramp on the front of it. So it's usually up when it comes alongside the ship, and then they lower it down when they get over to the island. If you're getting on one of those big tenders, you'll board it on the ship, probably on the top deck, but you'll want to go down to the bottom deck for the ride over, because when you get to the island, it unloads from the bottom deck. And then it's the reverse when you're going back to the ship. So if you want to be the first one off the tender when you get to the ship, here on the island, you will come on the bottom deck, but you'll want to go up to the top deck because that's how you'll get back on board. Obviously different ships can be different, but for a lot of the ships, that is how it works. So you can actually see a couple of the tenders right over there. That's one of the big ones with the railings on it behind the rookie that's there, as you can see it loading right now. The tender process is really just going to depend on the ship that you are on, what that itinerary is like. Sometimes ships will require the use of tender tickets. There's no charge for those, but you might need to go pick up a ticket. It just helps them control the traffic flow, helps them move people to the island as efficiently as possible. Sometimes though, you're not going to need that, and just whenever you're ready to go ashore, you're just gonna head down and get on the tender. So you're just gonna have to check with the team on your ship how that process will work. Now that's just for going to the island. When it's time to come back to the ship from the island, no tickets needed. You just head for the sign that says back to the ship. It's just first come, first serve. So there's a little waiting area. If you don't make it on the first tender when you get there, you'll just hang out in that waiting area. When the next tender comes, you'll hop on that and go back to the ship. On the island, when you get off the tender, you'll enter in through a fort. It's the only way to go, so you will enter through a fort. Just as you are coming into that fort, there's a big map sign to your left. So pause there. I usually take a picture of that on my phone so I can use that to navigate throughout the day. So look for that big map. Then you'll enter into the fort. There'll be a big fountain right in front of you. If you're on a shore excursion, your tour probably meets right there in that main square near that fountain. When you're standing at the fountain, look slightly to your left. That's where the information booth is. So if you have any questions about the island, you can go there. Or if you have questions about a tour, maybe you didn't book a shore excursion, you get out here, you decide you want one, you could head there to that information booth and then book a tour. If you go to the right within that fort, there'll be a few craft market stalls available out there. So if you want to pick up any souvenirs, you could do that there. Plus there is a big souvenir store on the island, actually to the left and outside of the fort, if you did want some Half Moon Cay souvenirs. When you're in that fort, there's a welcome bar right in front of you, so you don't need to go far to find a drink when you're on the island. You can head to the welcome bar. And then all the way to the left, that's where you will find the beach. And it starts pretty much immediately. Once you pass that info booth, you pass that souvenir store, you are already on the beach. The beach chairs are included in your visits. You can find any spot that you like. Then they have umbrella and they have clamshell sunshades that are available for rent if you are looking for some sun. But it is just a big, wide, beautiful beach full of soft white sand. So let's go have a look. I'm all the way at the far end of the beach, so you come off the tender, you go into the fort, you turn left, you get to the beach, you turn left again, come all the way down to the end. There is a big cabana on the hillside. It's called the Oasis, so people can rent that for the day to hang out with their party. But the reason I came down here is because this is the best place to snorkel. If you're looking to snorkel from the shore, these rocks that are just out there beyond the Oasis, they are home to a lot of marine life. So there's a little bit of coral there. It's mostly rocks, but I've seen a lot of sergeant major fish. I saw a lobster there. I've seen a a squid swimming around out there before too. Plus there's a buoy line that marks the safe swimming area because the tenders come in beyond that. So there's a buoy line that marks that safe area, and there's a seagrass bed that is starting to grow beneath that buoy line and beyond it. And last year, so 2023, 2024, we were seeing sea turtles out there a lot. I haven't seen any sea turtles this year or heard reports of them, so maybe they've moved on, but I still always go check it out just to see if maybe any sea turtles come by and they want some of that grass. So again, it's out at the buoy line just beyond the oasis. As you keep going down the beach on Half Moon Cay, you'll find lots and lots of those beach chairs that I mentioned. Plus you'll find a few different water sport rental huts where you can rent anything from snorkel gear to they even have things like aqua bicycles and small boats that you can rent to enjoy the day out on the water. If you're just looking to swim, there are lifeguards at certain points. So just look for the lifeguard stand, and then there's also a sign saying, okay, you're out of the lifeguard area, no lifeguards beyond this point. So you are welcome to swim anywhere within the buoy markers, but just keep in mind that there's not a lifeguard everywhere you go on the island. I'm at the back of the complex now. The beach is that way, the Stingray Adventure is that way. I'll show you that in a minute, but there's also this nature trail that cuts through the complex. So it's coming there, and then you can see it says Nature Walk, and then it crosses this road. Just be careful on this road. There are carts that come by here, sometimes faster than I would like for them to be coming through here, so just be a bit careful. But again, there's that Nature Walk sign, so if you've had enough of the beach and just want a little peace and serenity, you can come explore this trail. It's a good spot for bird watching too, so you can head back through here. Just about anything you buy out here on Half Moon Cay is going to go on your stateroom key card, just like it would back on board. So if you want to rent any of that water sports equipment, it goes on your stateroom key card. You want to buy a drink at the bar, goes on your stateroom key card. And let's talk a little bit about the bars and about the food and drinks on the island. First of all, in most cases, beverage packages don't apply out in a private destination. So if you have a beverage package on board, probably not going to apply out here. Instead, you'll just be paying those cash prices, but it does go on your card. For food and drinks, there's a Lobster Shack out on the beach where they have lobster rolls and other delicacies available for purchase, but then there's also an island barbecue complex in the middle of the port development. So that's where you can find usually burgers, hot dogs, jerk chicken. They also do a black bean burger, a whole bunch of different types of salad, fruits, cupcakes, ice cream. That's all included in your cruise fare. So look for that island barbecue. The hours are usually listed in the daily program or in the Navigator app, so you can see when it's open over here on the island. And then just like up in Lido Market, there are some beverages that are included. So water and then like lemonade or maybe some type of juice that you could get. That's included, but then there's a bar right there. If you wanted a soda, you could purchase that or purchase an alcoholic drink to go with your meal. Back here at the back of the port complex, that's where you find the Lagoon. So there's a glass bottom boat Lagoon tour that happens back here. It's also where the jet ski tours happen. And then a bit further down, that's where you will find the Stingray Adventure. So if you wanted to get in the water and swim with some stingrays, you're going to find that back here as well. Another popular tour on the island is horseback riding. You first do the trip overland, so you explore a bit of the island on horseback. And then you actually go back to the stables, they take the saddles off the horses, and then you get in the water with them. So you get to ride the horse in the water along the coast. It's a pretty unique experience. You can look for that here as well. And a lot of people do opt for, there's a tram tour that takes you throughout the island, talks a bit about its history and the development here on the island. Don't get that confused with a passenger assistance tram. There's a 25-seat cart that runs around. It's actually the same vehicle as that tour, but the Calypso Tram tour is just that. It's a guided tour. The passenger assistance cart is just that. It's just there to get you from point A to point B. So it takes you from near where the tenders drop off inside that fort and will drop you off at the island barbecue area. So just a cart to help people get back and forth. You'll see throughout the port that there's a lot of pavement. I'm walking on a paved road right now. Plus there are brick sidewalks throughout a lot of the development as well. So if you have anyone in a wheelchair, walker, scooter, stroller, you are able to get around the port quite easily. There are places where it's sand. Obviously out on the beach it is sand, but throughout a lot of the ports there is pavement. Pretty flat, pretty level, so easy to get where you need to be. Let's do some tips for making the most of your day on Half Moon Cay. First of all, this is your perfect beach day. It's nice and easy. A lot of Caribbean destinations, if you want to go to the beach, sometimes there's a beach right there in the port, but a lot of times you're going to have to take a taxi to a beach. So you're going to have to factor that time and that expense in. Here, you just tender ashore, the beach is right there. So this is a great day to just enjoy the beach. Maybe bring a book, maybe rent some water sports equipment to have a bit of fun out there in the water, or just sit there in one of those included lounge chairs and enjoy your day. But make sure you bring that blue and white striped beach towel that's in your stateroom. Take that ashore with you if you do plan on enjoying the beach. There's no other towels available on the island. Sometimes people think it's a private destination, I'm sure they'll have a towel for me. We do have a towel for you. We put it in your stateroom, so make sure you bring it out. And then, of course, bring it back on board. I also get asked a lot about restrooms or changing rooms. Yes, there's running water out here, so there are restrooms throughout the island, so you'll see them as you go. There are also showers or some foot baths near where you get back on the tender, so you can rinse all the sand off before you get back on board. Connectivity is another big question I get about the island. As I tell the guests, if you're looking for Wi-Fi, keep looking. No Wi-Fi over here on Half Moon Cay, at least not at the moment. There is a cell phone tower here, but I just checked right now. I do have a plan that covers the Bahamas and I don't have any signal. I've had, I think, up to 3G speeds before, so you're definitely not gonna download any Netflix or anything while you're out here. You might get enough signal if you need a text to go through. Maybe you can do that, but really when it comes to Wi-Fi and connectivity, you're gonna have much better luck in other ports during your cruise. I hope you've enjoyed this look around Half Moon Cay, Holland America Line's private destination in the Bahamas. I have a lot more port videos already out, more coming your way, so make sure you like and subscribe and ring that bell if you want to get notified when I've got a new video coming out. But thanks for watching.